Funding for this edition of Caucus, New Jersey has been provided by NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities, Sun National Bank, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and banking under the principle of stewardship, and by Roche.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. This is a very important series. I want to introduce you to Dr. Joel Bloom. He is the president of the New Jersey Institute of Technology. This is the first of a two-part series that we're doing. This first half hour is called The Edge of Knowledge, Part 1. This initiative, we're going to be looking at the Business Incubator Initiative, right?
Correct.
And by the way, the second part of The Edge of Knowledge, we'll be looking at latest advances in biomedical research. This is an initiative we're doing together with NJIT, one of the most important research institutions in the country. Joel, let me ask you this. Part 1, Business Incubator Initiative. What is it and why is it so important?
Like most universities, we have a mission. We have a fourth mission element. It's called economic development. One of the tracks or pathways to get to economic development is to help incubate businesses. NJIT, as a research university, we develop intellectual property, we innovate, we invent. So now how do you go ahead and take that, move it out of the lab, and bring it into commercialization, to have practical application? So we either spin businesses into our incubators, or we invite businesses that are already being developed in some of the fields in which we are working or doing research in. So in Newark, at NJIT, we have 90 incubator companies.
90?
90 incubator companies. Some of them, again, initiated through NJIT. Some are attracted to the incubators, the economic development centers, because they know about the work we're doing at our university, the research. They know about the equipment that we have there. They know that they can involve our faculty, or as those 90 incubator companies, they're hiring 300 of our students, full and part-time, to work in the development of the technology, the instrumentation that they themselves are working on. So those companies, those 90 companies, about a year ago, did $82 million in business. They raised about $67 million in third-party funding, and they employ about 800 people, full and part-time. So this is taking invention, intellectual property, integrating it into practical applications, and looking at the outcome. For example, if you're familiar with the technology as you drive your car and your emails or text messages are being read to you, one of the companies that have innovated, developed that whole concept.
What's that name?
iSpeech.
We have iSpeech. The head of iSpeech will be in the studio. By the way, right after this, we actually have a panel discussion that follows up what Joel's saying. He is here. That's one of the key companies, right?
That's one of the key companies. Again, a lot of technology, a lot of the work being developed concurrently at NJIT, and of course this company. And they've had remarkable success, as you, I'm sure, will hear.
30 seconds. The name Edge in Knowledge. Why is that the name?
Because at the end of the day, the whole issue of innovation and invention, you're taking what you know and just trying to push it a little further to see what is the outcome.
This is the first of an ongoing series called The Edge in Knowledge that we're doing right here in the Caucus Educational Corporation in cooperation with our educational partners at NJIT. The first series, the first part of that series is on the Business Incubator Initiative. I promise you the second one we'll be looking at, as I said, the latest advances in biomedical research. This is Dr. Joel Bloom, the president of NJIT. There's a panel discussion that follows right after this that you do not want to miss. Thank you, Joel. Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this. Thanks, Joel.
Thanks.
Welcome back, folks. This is part of, as I said, our Edge in Knowledge series done in cooperation with NJIT. I promised you a terrific studio panel, and here we go. Judith Sheft is the Associate Vice President of Technology Development at NJIT. Tim Lizura is President and COO of the New Jersey Economic Development Authority in New Jersey. And Heath Ahrens is the founder and chief executive officer of iSpeech. We talked about that with the president. Also, Kim Case, executive director of the Research and Development Council of New Jersey. I want to thank all of you for joining us. You know, we're talking with Dr. Bloom about a whole range of initiatives here, and we talked about the Incubator Initiative. But Heath, we talked about iSpeech. Quickly, tell folks what it is and how it connected to the whole Incubator Initiative.
Sure. So back in 2007, I had an idea that I could actually listen to my homework while I'm driving to school, save some time, and you know, I was sitting in traffic on 78, which I think is still under construction right now.
Traffic on 78 New Jersey, I find that hard to believe.
Exactly. So, you know, sitting there, I thought, what if I could just listen to everything? So I checked out the technology that existed at the time, and it didn't sound human at all. It sounded like a robot. That's all that the technology was originally built to do, was to read a credit card number or a bank balance or a phone number to you, or maybe an address, or, you know, say turn right ahead. But to listen to a long amount of text, it was very painful. So I found a really smart developer. We hunkered down in my parents' basement from 2007 through 2009, and we developed our own text-to-speech. So the technology is called text-to-speech, which takes any text and turns it into audio. And we had something decent. We decided to launch it. We launched it as a mobile app called Drive Safely that read your text messages to you on your BlackBerry.
So fast forward, because I know the story is much more complex and interesting.
Yeah.
But how the heck, what's the incubator piece and what's the NJIT piece?
So when Drive Safely started to take off in 2009 and we were making money, we said, hey, you know what? This is a good time for us to move into a real building, hire some people. And it was the move from, you know, the basement or the garage that an entrepreneur faces. You know, are you going to go and get into a huge 3-year lease agreement to get space? You know, how are they going to treat you? You know, they're just a regular landlord. But if you find an incubator that could, you know, sort of help you and take care of you and help you, show you the ropes,
right.
The things that you don't know when you're coming from the garage.
Getting a lot of support and help. And by the way, the EDA piece in this whole thing. Talk about it.
Absolutely. Well, we've been a big supporter of incubators for 15 years. We run one of our own incubators in New Brunswick called the Commercialization Center for Innovative Technologies, which is all about life sciences companies. But when we talk about companies like Heath has, we provide support in both financial incentives, technical assistance. I mean, it's a tremendous story. Working actually with Secretary Hendricks, we've actually coined a new term called the innovation ecosystem. And
the innovation ecosystem,
which is the partnership between higher education, corporations, both small and large, and government. And how do we create a systematic approach to get more Heath stories out there?
Interesting. Judith, help us on this, because Joel talked about this a lot in the opening segment. Is it the role, with all the pressure in higher ed to be doing all sorts of things, right? Is it the role of higher ed to be helping small business through this incubation process, get their businesses up and running? And by the way, what piece do you have in this?
Sure. So you might say, what is the role of the university? And it's teaching, research, economic development, and public service. And as part of the economic development mission, we work with small businesses. So small businesses like Heath, why do they want to be in an incubator? They want to get access to resources. And what are the resources we have? We have students that they can work with. We have faculty.
Excuse me, go back. What do the students do?
What do the students do? He hires students to do some of his programming work. Some of the people in our, because we also have life sciences labs, some of them will hire students who are working in labs for them. And so he's able to hire students part-time while they're going to school. Then when they graduate, he's able to get full-time employees that he's really road tested before he's made them full-time employment opportunities.
And if they weren't doing this, Kim, this is interesting. If you're a university, we're not doing this, where would they wind up getting this kind of help? And what would be the odds that you could succeed?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be slim. I think that universities are the perfect place for this to happen. And I think that through the R&D Council, we really want to see that fostering a culture of innovation, that pipeline continuing on.
Yeah, talk about your organization's role in this.
So the Research and Development Council of New Jersey is a nonprofit organization that brings together industry, academic, and government entities who focus on research and development throughout the state. So we really want to bring on NJIT, EDA, and looking at the incubator startup companies and bring them into the loop on things and make sure that there's a communication from start to finish in these
What does
companies.
that mean?
I'm sorry?
Give me an example of it.
I mean, just bringing people together. New Jersey is a very segmented state. You've got North, Central, and South, and there's great research being done in the North and great research being done in the South and Central, and we really want to create one voice for that research in the state.
What are the hottest areas? I mean, I'm curious about you hear the word incubator, and most people do not think what you're talking about. They think, oh, the baby in the incubator, right? They don't picture what we're talking about here. What are the hottest areas that are being incubated where you say, hey, you know what? There's a lot of potential there. What are the hottest areas?
I want to say there's really two focal points. One is in the life sciences area.
Life sciences.
Life sciences, because a lot of the big pharmaceutical companies, stuff is coming off patent, so they're looking for new technologies from startup companies. And then the second area is really on the tech side, things like big data, mobile, cloud applications, and those are things that can go really quickly because it doesn't take a lot of investment. It really just takes smart people working together. They can get products out there very quickly and they can scale. So Heath started with yourself and one person when you joined the incubation program, and now he's got over 20 people working in our facility.
You have 20 people now.
Well, for competitive reasons, I don't say the exact number. We're still small.
So
yeah.
You've learned. So let's just say this, or let me ask you this. What impact do you believe that incubation process has had on your success?
Oh,
You can talk about that, right?
Sure, absolutely. It's been great for us. You know, instead of having to go to monster.com and spend, you know, half of our time on HR and finding the right people and interviewing, and then competing with big firms like Goldman Sachs across the river to get really good developers. We can't compete with them. But what we can do is we can get students who grow up at our company and you know, they really become, you know, fully immersed in our technology, you know, part-time, and then once we, you know, pick the best guys that are at NJIT, then they come and work for iSpeech.
You know, this whole Edge and Knowledge initiative, while it's science and technology and research driven, this part's really, you know, we're talking about small business as well. The most common mistakes that high-tech driven, research driven small businesses often make are?
I was going to say, exactly. When you look at a very smart technology person, they don't always have the business acumen to develop the company. So I would say the biggest mistake is not realizing your limitations.
Hold on. Not realizing. By the way, log on to the website that you're seeing on the screen so you can find out more information about not just these initiatives, but some of the mistakes that companies make as well. Go ahead.
So you have scientists or technology people who are very smart, and they have great ideas. And it's unusual where you have a Heath who can understand both the technology and the business application, and then understand where they can take advantage of programs and where they need to bring in other skill sets. So the incubation model is one of those where people can jump in, managers or entrepreneurs in residence can jump in and provide the resources of, hey, I've been there, I've done that, I've seen the mistake you're about to make, and you might want to not do that. And it might be, you know, with raising capital. It might be with what's the right time to bring on an auditing firm. You know, what are all of the when's the right time to bring in a human resources a person? Because as you grow, it's
what about marketing and branding?
Yes.
Well, that's right, exactly. That's another piece of it. How are you selling in the market? What's your distribution models?
But you know what's so interesting? Those are not even research.
No,
those are not even high tech, science-driven questions. Those are business questions.
Exactly right.
And so, as Tim is saying, part of what the incubator does is it brings together a community of people and the rest of the service providers to help people move their whole business forward. I've had companies, not Heath, in the incubator, where they'll tell me something wonderful they've done, and I'll say, this sounds like a press release. And they'll look at me like, a what?
Right.
And go,
Like they don't know, you're saying?
It's like, because they're scientists, engineers, they're so focused on getting that technology developed, they don't appreciate some of those other elements that are necessary to create the business model.
How do you sell it to the marketplace? Where's your revenue projections? What's your distribution methods? It's all business. You're a small technology business is at first a business based on novel technology and a great idea of how you're going to use that technology in a business format. So a lot of those support services on the incubation, whether it be life science, by the way,
Right.
or IT-based, or information or some other technology, they're the same issues. They're the same business-related issues. It may take longer to get to market with a life sciences product because you have to go through the FDA or you have to have some other regulatory matter. So you have to understand and manage that. But they face the same issues.
But you know, with the statistics of so many small businesses, winding up, sorry, not succeeding. I bet that doesn't
it's
bother
okay.
you
You
at
don't
all.
have to apologize. Don't apologize to me. We're succeeding.
And that's the point. So here's my thing. Here's my question. You get out of the incubator or incubation process, right? You're doing well, even though you won't tell us how many people you have. That's okay. But here's the thing. Where do you go to sustain? You know, you ever read Dr. Spencer Johnson's book, Who Moved My Cheese, right? Which is not about cheese at all. It's about constantly changing. It's about those who try to seek the status quo or destined to die because the cheese is a metaphor for success, whatever it is you're looking to achieve. And people who think the cheese stays in the same place, they die because it doesn't. Which brings me back to this. How do you continue to change, stay relevant, stay, you know, cutting edge, if you can't go back to the incubator and say, incubation process, and say, hey, we need some help? What do you do?
Well, you know, the next step after incubation is really, you know, we've bootstrapped to this date, meaning that, you know, we haven't taken outside funding to this date. But, you know, the next step is really either being able to sustain yourself with your own revenue and growing that way. And there's a lot of, you know, or I shouldn't say a lot, but there's some successful businesses that have been able to do that all the way through. The next stage for a lot of small businesses like ours is taking institutional capital from, you know, venture capital or, you know, a super angel.
You ready to do that?
You know, again, competitive reasons, but
what are we having you on the show for? You won't talk about it.
I'll talk about there's a lot I'll talk about, but you know, our funding.
But not those kinds.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of people that I'll
that.
upset if I do.
But let me jump into where the incubators, and there's a number of incubators across the state of New Jersey, we don't say goodbye once a company graduates. They're part of our network. And we do different programming where we invite them back, because part of the reason they're in the incubators is because they want the connections that we have, that we can help them with. You know, we talked about student resources and perhaps specialized equipment that we might have in laboratories, but the people who are involved with running the incubators, we know financial people, we know other resources. So if someone came to us and said, gosh, I'm really trying to do something with Verizon, we'd be able to sit back and say, we know how to get to somebody in Verizon to help you out. So it's not only the financial resources, it's the connections.
It's relationships?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jump in here.
I was going to say, certainly the Research and Development Council is also a resource. After you graduate from the incubator, you can always contact our organization, and we have everyone.
Further, we have the website of the council up. Good. Keep going. Go ahead.
You know, you can contact us, and we can contact any number of our members who can put you in contact with an expert or somebody at their company.
And you're a nonprofit.
And we're a nonprofit, exactly.
Talk a little bit more about the expertise that you offer.
I mean, we offer, you know, telecommunications, chemical, biotech, you know, any number of the industries that flourish here in New Jersey. So if you wanted to contact our organization, we could hook you up with any one of those.
What are these STEM studies that you're doing? The science, technology, education, and math studies. What are those studies, and why are they significant?
Well,
no, not education, I mean engineering, I apologize.
Engineering, right.
Science, technology, engineering, and math studies. What are they?
Well, obviously, STEM education in New Jersey is critical to maintaining the pipeline of talent here, which people boast of. We have we're the #1 in scientists per capita in the country, and that's something that we're very proud of. So we're looking at K through 12 and actually even P through 20 education and understanding how those practices and principles can translate into the workplace.
That's important.
And critical.
Okay, question. I've often wondered about this. For a lot of the folks who are watching right now, who, because of these very difficult economic times, which have been only been made worse by post Hurricane Sandy, some people lost their jobs. Some people are thinking about starting their own business. Some people say, you know, I've always been interested in research, technology, science. Say they're saying, all right, I'm interested in this public television program. I'm curious about what's going on at your institution. I'm curious about what the Economic Development Authority is doing. And they want to go on, they're going on the website to find out more. But the question is, not everyone is a candidate. Who is a candidate to participate in an incubation, in the incubation process? Who isn't, and how do you figure that out if that's you or not?
Even before the traditional incubation period or clients, there's something even before that. All right, there's we've just launched something called Tech Launch, which is the earliest stage of putting the business plan together. I know to get into the CCIT, I think the same for you. You actually have to have a business plan completed and submitted to our respective advisory boards, and they look at it and say, yeah, that this is a business plan, and it looks like, and they just won't say no. They'll give guidance, right? They'll say, you know, I can make a presentation over your technology.
Before you go any further, how bureaucratic and daunting is that process? Because that can stop a lot of people.
It's not at all. In fact, it's good training ground for when companies like Heath need to go make presentations to venture funds.
That's real life.
That's real life.
Real
exactly
venture
right.
fund, you mean people with the money, you don't invest.
The institutional investors that will be the follow-on and will get you out of the incubator after you've developed your product to that point.
Curious about this. Since we're talking about science, research, and technology, could you envision, post-Hurricane Sandy, some companies coming that are developing products, services, research, technology-driven, based on the need to respond to Hurricane Sandy? Go ahead. I was just thinking that right now. Actually, I wasn't. Bill Berlin, our producer, just said it. Actually, I can't take credit. The technology in my ear gave it to me, so go ahead.
Absolutely. And in fact, you know, one of the points the Kauffman Foundation out of Kansas City looks at.
The Kauffman Foundation?
The Kauffman Foundation out of Kansas City, Missouri, does a lot of studies and analysis of entrepreneurship. And they've identified that really people, sort of the baby boomer generation, people 50 to 64 are actually starting businesses at a higher rate than the 20 to 34-year-olds. Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think people are getting to a point in their career where they're saying, I'm not going to take early retirement. I'm not going to be playing golf. I'm not going to be eating bonbons all day long.
By the way, you're making retirement sound terrible.
It is. And this is a great state to start a business because there's
New Jersey is?
New Jersey, absolutely.
Because?
Because there are so many resources available to help you start your business. You know, we talked about, you know, Kim talked about the scientists, the resources that are here, the real estate that's available for companies to start, the universities that have faculty, students, facilities to help people start a business. And when you think about us versus California, you can get from North Jersey to South Jersey, same amount of time you can get across Silicon Valley in rush hour.
Okay, real quick, before we get out of here, one more time, if people happen to miss the earlier segment with Dr. Joel Bloom, the president of NJIT, talking about, and by the way, The Edge of Knowledge is a multi-part series that we are doing in cooperation with our educational partners at NJIT. He talked about the Incubator Initiative. Real quick, describe what it is so people know what it is and what it's not. Go.
Sure. The Incubator is a program, so it's a real estate facility where people can start a business, everything from cubicles on up to wet lab facilities, but it's more than real estate because it's a program of support for early stage companies, helping them with their business plans, bringing in entrepreneurs and residents to help them get ready for funding to grow and accelerate their path to success.
And that's unique to the mission of your university?
I'd say many universities recently have added economic development as a piece of their mission statement. NJIT was one of the earliest universities to add economic development to our mission statement. Our incubator is the oldest and probably one of the largest in the country, high-tech business incubators. We've got 90-plus companies and a range of life sciences, medical device, e-learning, energy, you name it, we've got it.
This is, as I said, the first of a multi-part series called The Edge of Knowledge. It's an important series we're doing, an educational series with NJIT. I want to thank all of you for joining us and sharing important information. Hey, go on the websites, get more important information because that's why we're here. Thanks for watching. Now let's continue the conversation about this and other important topics and issues on Facebook. Visit my page at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence, and 13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of Caucus, New Jersey has been provided by NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities. Sun National Bank, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and banking under the principle of stewardship. And by Roche. Promotional support provided by NJ Biz, All Business, All New Jersey, The Star Ledger, and NJ.com, Everything Jersey. and by New Jersey Monthly, the magazine of the Garden State, available at newsstands. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus, New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.
New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Company offers policies that can protect against auto accidents, fires, windstorms, floods, and many other serious and urgent situations. Tips on what to do before, during, and after you're confronted with the unexpected are on the emergency preparedness section of njm.com. New Jersey Manufacturers, helping the Garden State prepare for the unexpected for nearly a century.
This is One-on-One. Join me as we get up close and personal with some of today's most compelling personalities.
This is one you can't afford to miss.
Weeknights at 7 on NJTV and 12:30 a.m. on WNET.